job after that long?
Yeah, I think what we've done is we've given ourselves a fantastic opportunity to genuinely go after a game next week. Now it's going to be a big challenge, you know. I would imagine looking at Glasgow's selection this week, that next week we'll be facing a full-on Glasgow side in the preparation for not only for them playing obviously at home, but also in preparation for the players, the Scotland internationals heading into Six Nations. So we've got to expect that. But ultimately, you know, I've just said to the players, there's two things we can do. We can now actually look like a mature side that genuinely wants to fight for a place in the quarterfinals and get absolutely everything right, and in a way leave what was a fantastic game behind very quickly, because there's no doubt we were good today. You know, I can run around and try and move on from the game, but we were very, very good. You know, tactically, emotionally, you know, we got it very right today. That's a massive positive and a massive reward for the players. But now they've kind of got to do the hard bit, which is decide to move on and give themselves a chance next week. And as I said, you know, we are a side who like to celebrate the good times and enjoy them and take things moment by moment. But actually, we've got to move on from this one very quickly, because, as I said, we can now get ourselves ready for a huge game next week, and that's where we want it to be. You know, we've already created a scenario that we haven't had that often, which is we go into the last round of games with something genuinely to fight for. The one time we qualified, we went into the last game. Did we genuinely have something to fight for? Most people would have said no, because in reality we were relying on other people. We might perhaps be in a scenario where after we've seen all the pools work out over the weekend, that we know it could actually be in our hands, which would be a fantastic situation for us to be in.
Is it the opposition you expected tonight?
Yes and no, really. I mean, there's no. I mean, it was a tough game for a long period, wasn't it? And I think it's very difficult once a game gets away from you to then for Montpelier then to really dig in and stay strong, because the game did go away from them because we played very well. We knew we had to be very good today, and I thought we were, and I think that was ultimately the deciding factor. You know, we are a good side, particularly here at Sandy Park. We do have a very good home record. We do score a lot of points, and we've got a team who understand how to play the conditions and play the wind as well. So I think a lot of those things worked in our favour, and because we turned up and we performed individually and collectively very well, the outcome sorted itself out.
With Ollie Woodburn, what's impressed you most about him? He got man of the match today.
Well, I mean, there's a couple of fantastic finishes in there, wasn't there? I mean, the thing is, he has got remarkable strength on the ball, and you know, I don't think I've seen a better finisher in tight spots than Woodie, because he just has an ability just to drive himself away from touch into numerous tackles, and if you can drive yourself away from touch, you just give yourself the opportunity to get a ball down. I think that's what he does very well. You know, he fights the touch line, and as I say, that means he's always in a position that these scores can happen. He's finished them remarkably well. I mean, one of them is an incredible finish, you know, and I think what he's doing is exactly what we need him to do: be very good for us, and by being very good for us, he keeps his name out there in the forefront, especially for you guys in the media, which obviously helps his case for future England inclusion, which is obviously something that's very important to him.
Eddie James is scored on Thursday. Is he ready for call up on Thursday?
Well, I think all you can do in these scenarios, and we talk to our players a lot, you know, all you can do in these big games is go out and put yourself out there, and ultimately that's what we've done. We've done it as a side and we've done it as individuals. You know, there's a number of guys today have probably shown that against very good opposition they can stand up and play at almost international level. That's what we've got to just keep doing every week. And like I say, I like to say to our players that you know England squads, they mature and they change and they develop. And what you have to be is you have to be the player at the front end of your game when things change, and that's what our guys can do.
But they seem to do it quite often though without getting the results for it, don't they?
They do, but then England are getting results, aren't they? It isn't like, you know, we need to remember when we can talk about these guys, you know, and no one champions them harder than I do, but in reality, you know, it isn't like we're a team that are performing and England are a team that are not performing. You know, England are performing and the players who are playing for England are performing, which makes it a hard group to break into. To break into a group that's being successful, you've got to be exceptional and you've got to be exceptionally consistent. And our guys are starting to show that, and that's why I think that they're climbing the ladder of recognition.
What was the injury to Jack Endel?
It looks like he's rolled his ankle. We're hoping, obviously at this stage, as you always do, we're going to be hopeful it's not too bad. I imagine he'll have a scan early on Monday, and that will then tell us the extent of the injury.
And everybody else okay?
Everybody else looks like they've come through well. Luke Candick, came through the hip injury he had last week very well. Obviously we're hoping that Knowles, as time goes by, that injury will start to clear up, although whether next week's too early, probably will be. But on the whole, we're moving forward, and I don't think at this stage Such will be picked up another significant injury tonight.
How impressed have you been with some of your young front rowers recently, guys like Luke and Hepburn and the others?
Setpiece played a huge part tonight. I mean, there isn't many teams that can get territory from getting scrum penalties against Montpelier. Again, a lot of our elements held up very well today, and the game was a picture of the A, B, C, D linking together, wasn't it? And I think the truth is exact polar opposite of the first half last week at Glasgow, where against Newcastle, where we didn't go beyond A's and B's before everything kind of started to fall down. And I think the guys just got a lot of things right today. So they were right at the level they needed to be. And as I say, when you do what we do and you do it very well, you can see what the results can be.
They responded well to losing the first scrum, didn't they?
Yeah, but I think that's what you do. You get on with it, and to be fair, they responded well to losing the first scrum because we'd won the ball. It was towards the back of our scrum, and it gets kicked through, and it bobbles out the side. Those things happen, and as long as you can leave things that you can't control and you can put them to bed, you can move forward. And I thought, we did that really well. We moved forward really well today, and as I said, I've got to congratulate the players because I said to them before the game, what will define this game is what you put into it. It won't be about anybody else. It'll be about you guys, and they've taken the whole thing for themselves. So. I think they're the guys who've really earned the credit this week.
Is Jack Nowell due back next week?
It could be too early for Jack. I mean, it's not a horrific injury. It's not anything that requires surgery. I mean, Jack was kind of hopping outside the coach's office earlier this week trying to prove he was fit, and even though we knew he wasn't. So a little bit it's going to be a bit us deciding when he's ready to get training, not Jack Nowell deciding when he's fit to play, I think.
It's difficult to change this team, isn't it, after today?
No, yes and no. I mean, we've changed winning teams plenty of times. It's changing a winning team isn't that tough. It's trying to find changes that make a losing team into a winning team that's tough. What you've got to do is you've got to have a confidence in selecting for what you think will work week by week. And sometimes that's changes and freshening up and winning one-on-one battles, and sometimes it's seeing the same guys through. So we'll break the game down, and we'll have a good look at it. If we come through fresh and we look sparky on Monday, as you say, those guys will deserve a lot of credit going into next week.